Hello, peeps. Let's talk about Abby and Libby again. Now, when the girls supposedly were dropped off on Monday, I'm going with their narrative. By everything that we know, Ron Logan tried to hide his alibi where he was at, unloading shit at the transfer station. First 48 hours is the most critical. That needs to be tore down the most. So that's where you're going to find most of your answers. But nonetheless, Ron Logan was already at the dump that morning. So I'm just going to say the woods were already decorated. So if those woods were already decorated, then them girls walked into those woods the way it was. So even before they ever crossed the bridge, they had to see all that shit all over in the woods. And there was obviously many people in the woods as well. So Abby and Libby both, I'm going to say they knew. They seen all the shit throughout the woods. Maybe not all of it, but they seen some of it. They seen all the people there. And they still crossed the bridge. Why? I don't know. Were they coaxed there? Lured there? Yeah, probably. But under what? Why? What were they told that was there? Was it to meet no boy? I don't think so. If all that shit was going on, if there was that many people there, and those woods were decorated like I seen, I would get spooked for sure. Let alone walking across the bridge like that to meet some boy. I think it was something else. Completely something else. I think they were willing participants in going there. If that story is true that they wanted to go to the bridge. Someone mentioned in one of my comments on one of my videos or shorts in the comments that somebody said that one of the girls asked about seeing masked men or something like that. And I don't know that to be true, but nonetheless, so let's say that's what they wanted. They heard about some masked men, and they wanted to go to the woods and trails and shit and check it out for themselves. Maybe that is what happened. I mean, because where that come in, the mask came in really early in on the story. There's still pictures out there with masks on the ground out there. Specifically one by Julian Powell. So that's kind of crazy. So, and then we also know, or I remember, there was someone from that community interviewed way back in 2017, and they were interviewed. It was outside, and the gentleman had mentioned that there always had been meetings out in those woods. Yeah, they held meetings out in those woods, and they have for years. Which I always wondered, why we haven't heard anything on that other than just from that one guy. And then a semi and trucker and pig keeps getting brought up. But oh, no way, a semi's gonna whatever. You've got the Hoosier Harvest Store. You got semi parking like right by the fucking bridge. It's very feasible, very possible for a semi to park nearby, it's possible. But again, they got to know that area, because like Anna Williams said, when they put that new highway in, all them roads changed. So now you got to take a different way around everything just to get to to where you want to go. So you have to kind of be in the loop and be kind of local to know your way back in there after all the new roads and everything were put in. But nonetheless. So if these woods and everything were all decorated before the girls even went out, and the girls got there, and I'm thinking they were, because at 13 years old, 14 years old, anything like that's going to scare the living shit out of you. I don't care if you're a small town, if they're not used to seeing that kind of shit and that's what they wanted to do that day. They had to be freaked out to a degree, people with masks running around the woods and all that shit hanging up all over the trees and the bridge. And it's crazy shit. It would spook me at 13. So they had to feel somewhat confident, like they'd be okay. They were going to be, everything's going to be all right. They're okay. Maybe they're with somebody, to make them feel that, nothing's going to happen to them. Because I can't see two young girls like that crossing that bridge with them woods decorated like they were. And especially if there's lots of people around in masks or dressed the same in black. So, they had to felt comfortable knowing somebody, either the person that took them there, the person that they were meeting, or someone that happened to be there that they knew, that they felt, oh, well, things go bad, this guy's got my back. They had to feel somewhat confident and comfortable. Just to even cross that bridge. And I could be wrong, but if all those woods and shit were decorated like that, there's always known to have meetings back there, and they wanted to go see the guys in the masks. Dude, I wouldn't be crossing that bridge. Would you? Now, if I had like a posse with me, yeah, I might. But if it was just me and my friend and all that activity, I would chicken out way, 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 way early. Way early. I'm sure I would. But anyways, also wanted to touch on the Faraday bags. And Keegan Klein's phone that he failed to turn in 11 days after the murders, the Samsung, I do believe with the Anthony shots, the one he took to Vegas, that phone, he said that he left it on a microwave. Now, I know a microwave can be used as a Faraday bag, which that blocks any GPS, Wi-Fi. You will not receive calls, texts, any kind of signal whatsoever. It cuts everything right off. And it saves all the information. It protects it. So it's like if you get your phone in the microwave and say the cop's there trying to ping that phone, they will not be able to ping it even if they're standing right next to the microwaves, as long as it's in the microwave. So I don't believe it was on the microwave. I believe it was in the microwave. So it makes sense to me. And then, of course, he deleted everything. And I also find it weird that that phone was factory reset about the same time Libby's was. So, and Becky Patty was aware of the factory reset. Matter of fact, they all said they reset it. Tara reset it. Grandma reset it. Kelsey. Everybody reset Libby's phone, So they knew something. Like I said, they knew something was coming up the pipe. And then the Faraday bags, Julie Melvin also had one up at the courthouse. I think she had like a utility Faraday bag. to protect her phone information, tablet, whatever. She had one also. And them's the only two people in this whole case that I know. And Julie Melvin was married to Tony Klein briefly. She's been asked about it in live chats. She says, no, he's too fat. But yeah, she was. She was married to Tony Klein. You can keep asking her on it. You keep asking her. Keep pushing it. Push it, push it, push it. Just because, say, if you like Julie Melvin, you think she's all right or whatever, that's cool. Doesn't mean that she doesn't know somebody or signing NDAs and Faraday bags, and you could like Ron Logan, but maybe he did it. Oh, he's just an old guy. Leave him alone. But maybe he did it. Oh, Judge Fouts. Oh, maybe you don't know who did it, or who's involved or who knows who. But nonetheless, it's the only two that I know had a Faraday bag is Keegan Klein and Julie Melvin. Keegan Klein and Libby's phone were reset about the same time. And I don't know how Julie Melvin gets into private interviews with Hannah Shakespeare and also gets to have, sit downs with the prosecution and the defense. It's insane, you guys. But anyways, I'm not going to keep babbling on. If you have something to add, put it in the comments. If you got something to ask, put it in the comments. Again, we're all sifting through it. It's just so much to sift through. I've got, I don't know, a couple dozen notebooks. And I've already sifted through it. I don't know how many times. So, but nonetheless, y'all stay safe, stay blessed, and have a great day.